opening this weekend, starring John Travolta, Friday, August 4th, is Mobland. Let me get the correct banner here. And we have the director joining the show, Nicholas Maggio. He's going to tell me how to pronounce it. Nicholas, thank you for joining us on the show today. Appreciate your patience waiting in the wings. Appreciate that. Let me put you front and center there.
No, I was having fun listening.
Oh, okay, cool. How do you pronounce your last name?
Maggio. Well, it depends if you're, of the white trash Mississippi Maggios like my folks were, or if you're coming from Sicily. But it's Maggio.
Well, thank you, Nicholas Maggio, for joining us on the show today. First of all, Mobland trailer looks amazing. Opens this Friday. I think this film looks like it's kind of riding a wave of a lot of smaller indie films that are being released to theaters with big actors dealing with a lot of themes that we don't get to see a lot of mainstream Hollywood movies dealing with. Tell us about the film.
Yeah, it's it's my homage to classic American neo-noir. I mean, that's what I was set out to do. Very linear A to B story, no frills, brutal, poetic, beautiful, if you will, if you think so. Great. Just a really simple Southern Gothic tale. And so that's what I set out to do, and that's what we did.
How did you get John Travolta to be in this film?
Man, I'd like to think it's because I wrote a great script. I think it's because Stephen Dorff read the script, loved it, and he got it to John. He said, "Hey, this role's for you. Let's do it." So Stephen Dorff, all the props to him. He was the one that really made it happen. So it was Stephen got it to him, and once John called me, we talked on the phone, and he kind of vetted me. I passed his test, and it was off to the races.
Well, first of all, I love Stephen Dorff. Whenever he turns up in something, he just adds a level of gravitas and whatnot, and he always goes for it.
Yeah.
Working with those two, how insane was that?
Oh man, Dorff. First of all, Dorff is. Listen, I'm biased. It's his best role, I think. People love him in this. He's so fantastic. He's so fun to watch. But that being said, the two of them together, and then Shiloh. Kevin Dillon. I mean, everybody did such a great job, but especially the scenes with Dorff and Travolta and Fernandez together. I mean, it's something to watch. It's like they just acted their asses off, and it's incredibly satisfying.
Great. We've got some comments and questions here in the chat.
Oh, amazing! Can't wait.
Cool. Let's see. They're still talking about Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, but
even better.
Delta 9 says sharp ball cap.
Hey, and that's why I'm here. That's why I'm here.
Are you Dodger fan? I just went I haven't been in years. Went to a Dodger game last week. It was fantastic.
I'm an LA fan. If the Dodgers happen to be here, that's fantastic.
That's great. And it says, "Greetings, Sir Nicholas from Solomon Thornton."
I mean, I can't argue with that.
Some more questions here. Apocalypse Tedium says, "Love noir. Looking forward to this. We need more crime cinema." Sailor Mercury, Stephen Dorff, Deacon Frost from Blade.
Exactly.
There you go. And Zavin has a question. What themes of the South were you trying to highlight, says Zavin?
More or less, my family's born and raised, both my parents born and raised in Mississippi. I spent summers in Mississippi. I love the South. I was born in Louisiana. Mostly, not necessarily themes, more or less just the amazing setting that Northern Alabama afforded, which is where this film takes place. I'm always obsessed with the Southern cultures, way of life, everything. So I really wanted to write a film that took place there. Just such a gritty, beautiful, hospitable, sometimes violent, brutal place. I just love it. So there are some themes that's for, what Zavin wants to take away from it. That's up to them. But just more so the location, just such a beautiful place to shoot and to set the film.
What are some of the differences between Southern mob and your traditional New York mob?
Well, what's interesting. Okay, so look, I'm not going to lie. This is not a mob film. It's much more about the characters, about the predicament that they find themselves in, and about you know, the mob, quote unquote mob, the Southern mob, Dixieland mob, which is a real thing out of New Orleans, but it's more or less it's another character. It's a catalyst to get us into the relationship with the characters.
On that note, Davina
Sure.
Duckworth asked, did Nicholas want to avoid traditional mob stereotypes in the character development?
Again, absolutely. And I think once people see it, listen, the title is its own thing. You know, there are people above my pay grade that decided that on the name Mobland, it's not what it was written as, but it's a marketing thing. It's you know, they felt it was the right name for the film. That being said, you know, I got to back everything at this point. But you know, as far as like a mob film, if you're looking for Scorsese, if you're looking for Goodfellas, this isn't it. This is definitely it's more of a character story driven piece than it is a mob film.
And then let's see, Solomon Thornton asked, what is your writing process and any advice for filmmakers?
Oh my God, fucking right. Sorry, can I cuss?
Please.
I have a mouth
Yes.
like a sailor, so I apologize. Just fucking write, man. Just get it done. I don't care if it's bad. I don't care if you only get 2 pages a day. Just write and finish it. I write incredibly fast. I don't think that's a good thing. I don't use outlines. I don't do storyboards. I don't do note cards on the wall. I just sit down and start at the beginning and write until it's done. Again, I'm not saying that's the right thing to do, and it's probably fairly reckless, but man, just finish a script. So many people talk that, you know, they say they want to write or they're writing something, just finish it. And you feel like a god when you're done. You created this whole world, this story, it will hype you up and you'll want to work more.
Well, it's like with anything, you know, you don't like get in shape in one day. You don't
Sure.
you don't write a book, you write a page.
Yep.
And then just, you know, I don't know, the average book is between 50 to 60,000 words. If you can write 1,000 words a day, you can write a book in 2 months.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, get in that zone.
And just
Delta
get
9,
it done.
Yeah. Delta 9 says, is it set in a rural Southern setting or a Southern city like Baton Rouge or both?
No, rural. It actually takes place in a small town, northern Alabama, outside of Decatur, outside of Huntsville, Alabama. So it's a really, really tiny town. Trinity, that's where it's set, up in northern Alabama. Tiny, tiny town.
Let's see. Aaron Taylor, what was the title originally?
You'll appreciate this. I wrote it as Blood on the Porch because I thought that was by far the fucking coolest title I'd ever come
That's a very
up with.
noir title.
I love it.
Yeah.
And very early on, producers were like, oh yeah, that sounds like a fucking horror film. Change it immediately. Fair enough. So then it went to American Metal, and that's what we shot it as, was American Metal.
Oh, I like both those titles. Jake Blue says, what can you say? Marketing people.
Yeah.
Jake Blue says, sounds like you need to adapt The Boys from Biloxi too. Love that book by John Grisham.
I don't know that book. I know of it just because of John Grisham. Who doesn't know them? But I'll look into it. And I love Biloxi. What a great town.
Jesse Riley says, where was the film shot?
Shot it in Winder, Georgia, a little town about an hour outside of Atlanta.
Cool. And then Latino Slant says, just saw the trailer. I'm in. Where did you find Shiloh? Congrats, sir.
Man, Shiloh, I was introduced to him 2 years ago, friend of a friend. It was one of those things, we weren't even talking about film. We just liked each other. We exchanged numbers. It was kind of like one of those, oh, we should hang out sometime. Nothing to do with movies. And when I wrote Mobland, he was who I had in mind from day one. I loved him in a couple of films I've seen. Who doesn't love Evil Dead? And so I immediately thought of him, sent in the script. He was in. And once we got sign off from Dorf, he was definitely in.
Cylon Killa says blood on a Southern porch may have worked.
Man, it's such a hard title. I wish we could have.
They're debating it in the chat.
I love it.
Matthew Hammond says, how do you create something more than a generic crime fighting movie?
I mean, that's fair. I think like a lot of the, especially the newer neo-noirs that are more focused on the characters, more focused on the relationships. And I think that's more or less how you do it. It's more about the internal struggles. It's more about the character arcs themselves than it is about the action. And that's definitely what Mobland is. It's more of a character study and a situational study than it is about crime or violence, for that matter. You know, we had the violence that punctuates the story, and that's it.
And Lucas Garrett says, modern day or period piece? Well, Lucas, watch the trailer.
There are cars.
Yeah, there are cars.
Yes, modern day. I would love to do a period at some point, but yeah, this one's modern day.
Lubitsch Touch Me says, did you get financed before casting? If not, did having big names make it easier? And we get this question almost every filmmaker that comes on.
Yeah.
How do you get the money?
John Travolta, his name. That's how you get the money. I think, you know, there's creative ways this day and age to raise money, especially if you're playing in the independent film world, a couple $100,000 to a couple million. There are ways to do it. My producer got it to Steven. Steven gets you a little bit. And then once Steven got it to Travolta, that gets you a little bit. Kevin Dillon, Shiloh, Ashley Benson, it just kind of snowballs. Everybody means a certain amount for international and domestic sales. So once we had Travolta, here's your money, let's go.
And where did Saban come in? Did they come in during the process or after?
So Saban bought the rights just after we finished officially. I think they were involved in some, you know, they knew what was going on. They knew, I think they had some deals with producers beforehand, but they officially bought it after we wrapped.
Well,
after they know I didn't fuck it up completely.
Exactly.
They were in.
I just think Travolta's one of the underrated talents when you look at the trajectory of his career. I mean, as a kid, I watched him on Welcome Back, Kotter, and to evolve from that to, and even then he was in a TV movie that had a profound effect on me as a kid, The Boy in the Plastic Bubble.
For sure.
Do you remember that movie?
Absolutely.
Yeah. It's looking back,
really
it's kind of quaint, but I loved him in that. And you just see the trajectory of his career. I'm just always a big fan of his. So I'm glad to see him doing something that he hasn't really done before. I mean, he's done crime related and action related films, but I can't wait to check it out. So Mobland is out. It's out in theaters on Friday, August, and then VOD at some point.
End of the month. August 27th, 29th. I'm not sure, but it'll be VOD then, and then Hulu after that.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Nicholas, congratulations. Thank you so much for joining us on the show today. When you make another movie, don't be a stranger. Please come back and visit.
These will be the first ones, I promise.
Okay, great. All right. And go Dodgers.
All right. Thank y'all so much.
Take care.
All
Later.
right, take care, guys.
Appreciate it.
Of course.
Awesome.